Hi, it's Deb from Deb's Days. It's Tutorial Tuesday and we're making this scrappy pot holder. Out of what else but fabric scraps. Before I get started, I publish new content frequently, so be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And check out the blog at debsdays.com. You'll find an entire section dedicated to the sewing and crafting projects that I've done. And the best part? They're all free. If you're a cruiser, I've got you covered there too with a cruising resources section. You'll find cruise tips, trip reports, ship and port specific information, and so much more. All right, let's get started on this pot holder. Along with your regular sewing supplies, for this project you will need fabric scraps. They need to be 100% cotton, an 8.5 by 8.5 piece of a backing fabric, 100% cotton again. You need an 8.5 by 8.5 piece of cotton batting, an 8.5 by 8.5 piece of Insul-Bright, some type of adhesive like a basting spray. You can also use clips or pins, pinking shears if you have them, and the template downloaded from debsdays.com. I've printed off 2 of these templates. You can find the full supply list on debsdays.com as well. I've added a direct link in the description right below this video. First, we're going to go ahead and cut apart one of these templates. You'll notice the line doesn't go all the way. That has to do with the print margins. You can either draw a line to go ahead and finish it off, or you can do what I did, which was I just cut it all the way over to the edge. So go ahead and have all of the pieces cut out. I'm leaving this one template. It's going to help me when I put everything back together. I'm going to move this out of the way for now, and I'm going to grab my pile of scraps. I'm going to spread them out. My goal here is to take my pieces. I'm going to take my biggest piece. Actually, this is my longest piece. And find pieces of fabric that'll fit. So that one looks like that'll go there. My next biggest piece I think is number 2. That's my next biggest piece of fabric. I'm just going to place all of my cut out template pieces onto my fabrics. Alright, I've matched all my fabrics to my pieces. I do need to keep in mind though where everything's going to be placed. So one will be here. So I'll have this fabric in the corner. The big 2 one will be right here. So what I can do if I want is put these fabrics just in these spots just temporarily to see if I like the placement. I just want to make sure, like maybe I don't want this fabric. I have 2 pieces of the same fabric. I don't want them together, which it doesn't look like they are. I was happy with the placement. Now I need to go ahead and cut out these pieces. So I'm just going to pin them right onto the fabric and cut them out. I'm going to do that with all of those. I'll be right back. Alright, I've gone ahead and cut those out. I'm going to leave them pinned until I'm ready. This is when this is going to come in handy because I need to know which edges I'm going to be sewing together. So first I want to sew 1, and I'm actually going to put it right on here, to number 2. So these are the edges I need to sew. I'm going to go ahead and pop these off. These are the 2. So I'm going to put them right sides together, and then I'm going to take them to my machine, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance to sew those together. Okay, let's open that up, and it goes right there. Alright, next is 3. It's going to go right there. Pop that off, and flip it, right sides together, another 1/4 inch seam. Alright, so 4, pop that off. Again, right sides together, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Alright, now we need to get 5 and 6. So let's just slide this over a little bit. Get number 5. Oops. Let's get number 5. Just like that. And number 6. I'm going to sew these 2 together. Right sides together. Open her up. Let's get number 7 on next. I think it's hiding now. Alright. Right sides together. Now we could be pressing this all along the way, but I just do a finger press. So now we need to put these 2 pieces together. This section and this section. So it looks like right here we need to do some cleaning up. Alrighty, and flip those. Let's get those put together. If you notice, it's significantly smaller than what we started with. We need to go ahead and square this up now, but before we do, let's get that pressed. Grab your iron and just press her on down. And then let's go ahead and clean up these edges here. If you remember, we cut our backing to 8.5. So we could do a couple different things here. We could either leave it as it is, and then we use this for our binding, which would be a pretty tiny binding, or we cut it off. The reason I had such generous amount of fabric for the backing and for the batting and for the Insul-Bright is because sometimes people like to extend this even more, which you certainly can. So I wanted to have that just in case you wanted to take these lines out even more when you cut your template. I wanted to allow for any changes you might want to make. I'm going to wind up cutting the extra off. So I'm going to put the backing side with the right side facing down. On top, I'm going to put the Insul-Bright with the shiny side facing down. The Insul-Bright has some insulating properties, and I like to use it for pot holders. Again, I have a link in the description right below the video where you can find the supplies, including a link to where to find the Insul-Bright. And then cotton batting. Remember, this is going to be for high heat situations, so we need to use cotton only. If you'd prefer using a couple layers of cotton instead of Insul-Bright, if you don't want to purchase it, that's all right too, but I do like the Insul-Bright. And then I'm going to put this on top. So I'm actually going to put it in the corner. And then I'm going to go ahead and just use this. I can either pin it, clip it, I can even spray it with the basting spray, spray all these layers together, and then go ahead and cut right along this. Use this as the template. I'm going to do that. I'll be right back. As you see, we now have a sandwich. We have the backing facing down, the Insul-Bright shiny side facing down, we have the cotton batting, and then we have the top of the pot holder. What I'm going to do now is I am going to make sure I've used my basting spray, and I'm going to secure all of these layers together. So I'll spray here, I'll spray here, and spray here. That's going to secure it, because then I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to take a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. So spray it, or if you want to pin it, you can use your pins if you have pins. You can use clips if you have them, however you'd like to hold those together, but we do want them tight before we go all the way around with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. What we're going to do now is, this is where the pinking shears come in handy. We're going to go around, we're going to cut in between our edge and our stitching. Don't cut into the stitching. Go all the way around the pot holder. Alright, so we have a scrappy pot holder. Now what? Well, we can go in here if you'd like and go ahead and put some stitching to secure it. That's what I'm going to do. Alright, I've gone ahead and stitched, like you would say, stitch in the ditch. You could also do a meandering stitch, or you could just do stripes, whatever you'd like, but it secures it nicely. It's a nice and easy way to use up some of your scraps and still get a pot holder out of the deal. Like I said, some people like to extend these lines even bigger. So if you'd like to do that, you can certainly do that, because you know from cutting the back we had some extra space. So if you want to make it a little bit larger, go ahead, just extend these end pieces out just a bit. If you'd like to see more projects like this one, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And stop by the blog at debsdays.com. You'll find free patterns, supply lists, and links to even more sewing and crafting videos. See you next week with another project.